And here we are in the bottom left here. In the blue, he is for the super team, looking for the upset. He is eGGz.
And also going for an early pool, ladies and gentlemen. It is time. Give it up. He might have a 32% win rate in this matchup in his current form, but he always comes out when it matters. There we go. It's JimRising.
Now, I kind of would have expected, Mr. Titan, to see you calling for Jim, saying he's absolutely going to win 100%. Because, have you noticed his land tag, the Estral? Doesn't that kind of look like a Phoenix?
It does, but I just, I got to stay unbiased. It's really hard. It's a challenge as a caster. You have to put aside all of your biases. And so, I got to look at it just as the stats dictate. And the stats, I mentioned that, JimRising, maybe only a 54% win rate in Zerg versus Zerg. That's all time. I actually looked at his current form, so his past 24 matches in Zerg versus Zerg. He has a 32% win rate.
That's not all that high. And I mean, eGGz opened up with an early pool as well. So Jim runs across the map. He says, how you doing there? It doesn't feel good. So he's going to get nothing done. Now, he has been building more lings. He's looking at 12 to 10. But the big deal, there are a couple things. First and foremost, eGGz got his gas faster. Second of all, eGGz got his hatch faster. So if this keeps going the way it is, I mean, eGGz just has the build order advantage right now, assuming that Jim is not able to get something massive done with these lings, as a couple will die immediately, getting a surround on top of the queen, which means this wall or this ramp is going to be forfeit, so drones have to get pulled to keep that one alive. The queen, it dies anyways. Drones are going to start to fall here as well. Looks like it will only be one, but on the other side of the map here, another queen falls. Jim takes a superior trade in that endeavor. He keeps more lings alive, but I don't know how much he's going to be able to get done in the mineral line, lacking speed, and as more lings continue to pop.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to keep in mind the fact that, as you said, there's that gas advantage. And as soon as that 100 gas is gone, eGGz can just pull off. He's going to have that speed. And now you're just seeing actually this trade not going the way for JimRising. There's a lot more lings. eGGz is going to chase him back. And with everything said and done, it ends up being a remarkably almost even trade.
That it does, but it's a even trade where Jim lost a queen. Well, actually, I mean, yeah. eGGz lost a queen too, so I mean, at the end of the day, really isn't all that bad. But again, the big deal, you talk about it, things all being equal, much quicker speed for eGGz. Yeah. So he has, regardless of whether he chooses to get aggressive with this, he has so much more agency on the map. Whatever he wants to do, I mean, the world is, hey, 2,000 atmospheres. It's literally his oyster.
Now that's a conspiracy theory if I've ever heard one. As 10 more lings are going to be on the way for eGGz, he's just going to continue to try and take advantage of the fact that he knows. I mean, I don't even know if he knows the fact that his speed is so far, but JimRising still isn't starting his speed bayo. He has 172 gas. This spawning pool is not researching Zergling speed, and JimRising is actually droning up right now.
The fact that you're on this much gas, you haven't bought anything with, that's got to be a mistake. That's not something you do in this game of StarCraft. Link say, oh, hey, that's cheap. We're going to get an Evo Chamber, or we're going to use it to play Ring Around the Rosie because speed is wonderful. Into the main base. Now they say, oh, there's nothing researching there. That sounds rather interesting. Now, Jim at the baseline, he needs to get a Baneling Nest, but it's too late for that one here. Lings, they're going to find their way up to the ramp, and eGGz is doing, or Jim's doing what he can, but eGGz is just going to be able to punch on through. Queen's starting to fall here. The Concave beats the Convex. The Queens are starting to fall, and drones, they're doing what they can for a moment. They're actually doing a fairly good job, but here comes another dead queen. It's regicide under the ocean, and there's not a lot that Jim can do anymore. Now, his Lings will force eGGz out for now. But more lings are on the way, and Jim doesn't have a queen, so he really doesn't have this solid defensive utility. Speed is still not even started. There is no Baneling Nest, nothing to make use of the almost 400 gas that Jim has mined to no avail.
Yeah, and GG is going to be called. eGGz gets it, and that was just... I mean, I really don't think you can call it anything else than a mistake there from JimRising. I mean, 3 drones on gas for that long, not getting anything. that's so many more minerals, lings, queens that you could have had for that defense.
That it is. But you know what? At the end of things, there is always a second game that we can play. And that's always nice. So we're going to get into that one soon enough. And what do you think? Do we just chalk this up to a little bit of, well, you know, you got caught out, didn't win the build trade, and go from there? Okay.
I mean, yeah, I think even with that, as you said, there was a build order win. Even if JimRising had started his speed on time, he would have been delayed with it. So by the time that attack came, he wouldn't have had speed. But it would have gotten done in time that he could have had something to work with. In that game, it was really just didn't have anything. He got really just completely stomped, and now eGGz is up 1-0. And for Jim, I mean, this is, I think, suddenly there's a lot of pressure on you. You don't want to get eliminated first, especially in this group where a lot of people expected you to advance most likely in second.
Yeah, on the flip side, though, is as we look at how this is going, the chance of to get someone new in top 4, to get someone new in playoffs is always a wonderful thing. That is always exciting. I mean, Trigger making playoffs last year for NA made me very, very happy. I mean, I'm just a big Trigger fan in general, so what can you do? Bias aside, I love seeing new blood in the scene. I do love seeing new people pop up and show what they're made of, even if it is, and in fairness, not like eGGz is super new, but eGGz are tasty. They're juicy. They're wonderful. They go great on a burger. But let's see whether Jim can crack that egg because, you know, Titan, game number 2. Well, we've done that intro thing again. It's on Blackburn. We're here. We are, in fact, ready. Our name is maybe even Freddy. And let's get into game 2. In the bottom left, in the blue. He is up 1 now. His name is eGGz.
And in the bottom right, his back is against the wall. Both players once again going for an early pool. This time will it work out a little bit better? We will see. Ladies and gentlemen, it is JimRising.
How fast does he rise?
I guess that's really the question. Is he like a hot air balloon or like a Boeing?
I think he's a bird. Maybe like a kestrel, because his team name is Estral, and I'm assuming that's where they got that from.
Yeah. Maybe. I'd say that's pretty fast then. I think you can rise pretty quickly as a kestrel. I haven't looked up the average, flying speed of the kestrel though. That's something that I have to do on my list. Is we're gonna see the lings here fight, and ooh, some nice micro there from Jim. Actually pulls back the injured ling. It's gonna force eGGz back to his base.
And certainly, Titan on Fire, kestrels may move fast. I don't know how they compare to other birds of prey, but you fight in a slow zone, and that's never gonna work out. Not really sure what's up with eGGz having a drone there, but as we have a bit of a dance in the middle of the map, it's not really going to come to much fruition. But hey, that Overlord should be able to survive for now. Eventually, Jim will be able to kill it. Actually, no, it's going to run away. There we go. So, Overlord survives. eGGz is not going to be disastrously supply blocked like he was against Eric.
I've actually seen him go, I believe, just went for an extractor chick to get himself a supply up on his opponent. As the sling dance here is a bit dangerous with the queen coming down. JimRising will eventually just back on up and realize that he doesn't want to go for that. And their early game amounts to a grand total of 3 lings lost versus 2 lings lost. And I'll tell you, that's going to make all the difference.
Literally 25 minerals. Although here, actually, wait, was there a cancel I missed? Because 87 minerals lost for eGGz? It's like, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, he did gas cancel, I assume.
Yeah. So, it's a little bit more. eGGz, taking the horrendously more inefficient early game, obviously, but he's going to be able to chase back these lings, and both players are doing this as standard as possible. And actually, JimRising here, I think he's just a little bit scared of that all-in potential, because that's a spine crawler, and all of his lings get caught.
That is actually massive here. That big surround is glorious, but you say this is as standard as possible. Titan, it's not true. This is gasless from both sides, and that's not something we see all that often. So, at least not compared to, say, a Ling opener, Ling speed. Even if it is defensive, you don't build a lot of Lings. These slow Ling fights are you don't see this in ZVZ, especially like in corner. It just doesn't happen. But it will happen here in this game. As Lings, they're going to try to find their way up on the high ground, but there is no way eGGz punches through this. Not with what he has, not with the full wall, not with the queens. Now, in this case, though, it looks like a couple Lings are going to try to deny the third base. Unsuccessful. And we're going to go into the mid game. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, all of that early action, not really amounting to too much. Of course, eGGz catching those Lings is pretty big. He's going to get himself a slight advantage in that army size, just a few workers ahead, because we did see JimRising add on that spine crawler, which really hasn't had too much, or isn't going to be able to get too much value until it actually comes to run buys, trying to find their way into this natural base. But other than that, both players getting +1. We do see that third base for eGGz. JimRising not adding that on just yet, is getting his additional gases, but actually still just sitting right now on the 2 bases.
Well, I figured out why that spine exists, Titan, and it's not for any defensive property. It's because Jim wants to make sure that no one looks at his gameplay and it's like, wow, Jim does not have any courage. He can't stand up for himself. His gameplay is not spineless. So we got a spine.
Ah, I see. Really just trying to show that he does have a backbone.
Exactly.
Yeah. As the roach production has started here for eGGz, and his layer is going to be quite a bit slower than that of Jim's. You're seeing that's, going to be about a 30-45 second difference. So you're going to have that glial reconstitution coming through for JimRising quite a bit faster. And we'll see if he ends up trying to go for any timing attack using that. Usually, though, you're not going to see a massive game-ending swell just with the +1 and the speed. That's going to come across the map in time to really punish that difference.
Yeah, Titan, you're using big words here, like a glial reconstitution. I don't really know. I struggle with roach speed, just, the zoom button. They go zoom, and it's fine. But you are correct. Realistically, this is not giving me any big timing. And at this point, we have to see who has better macro. Although, actually, wait a minute here, because you knock that Overlord down, it maybe supply blocks Jim. Does not in this case, but what it does do is it denies scouting through the middle of the map. So Jim is going to be less aware of, say, a bunch of roaches running out on the other side. Now, I don't think this kills Jim, not by any stretch of the imagination. The spine that defines his gameplay is being spine full, not spineless. Well, it's going to keep everything alive here with a couple roaches as well. We're fine. This push should not get all that much, but eGGz does seem to be wanting to move in a direction of aggression later on, because he's pushing the creep a lot more than you might normally see in the ZVZ. But for now, Jim, he's running onto the other side. He's got a lot of roaches. Is this going to be a game-deciding move?
The thing is, when your opponent pushes into you and then suddenly you can seesaw it back across the map, maybe you can take advantage of that speed. JimRising doesn't want to risk it, though. He's just gonna slowly waddle back, and we see the spine gets so much value with that defense. And I actually say that not sarcastically. The spine does actually help to push that back. You can get rid of the Lings quite easily. And it just means that really this early game, as you said, it's going to come down to the macro. And right now we're looking at even worker counts. The only difference is eGGz is pulling very, very far ahead in this army.
What you do have to consider, though, is the fact that, yes, eGGz is massively ahead in an army supply. And okay, not even actually that far supply, like 6 roaches. But he hasn't gotten upgrades. I don't even know if he has a second Evo chamber. No, he doesn't. He's just gearing up for a big +1 timing. And the question is whether Jim will be ready, because the game goes long enough, Jim's going to be happy. He's going to have a 2 upgrade lead. But for now, roaches of eGGz, they go on in Jim's army. It's got a little separated here, and the spines, they're doing what they can. Jim actually has a really nice surround, and with defensive advantage, the supplies are starting to equalize a little bit, but so much of that supply is in the production. It's not here just yet. Roaches find their way into the third base, so less mining now. But this concave from Jim actually seems to be doing very well indeed. The roaches in the natural, they're not getting much either. And look at this. That supply lead that we were talking about. What supply lead, Titan? It's not there anymore.
It's gone, and JimRising has +2 missile attacks finishing up and +1 carapace. He's going to have a 2 upgrade advantage in that. Now we say, okay, 1 upgrade advantage doesn't mean that much. A 2 upgrade advantage, though, that is going to be massive when it comes to these fights, especially on an even army supply. As eGGz, he thought he had the opening. But as you said, JimRising, he finds the surround. He had units that were moving out. He just brings them back, and suddenly he has a massive concave.
And that he does. So now Egg's trying to jump on top of the Ravagers to start immediately, but Jim does not allow that one to happen. And he's going to realize, okay, you know, my supply is good. I do have an upgrade lead, but it's still scary. Defender's advantage is a thing. Let's wait a minute. Little breaks here because I've got an eco lead, I've got an army lead. It's going to be rather nice here. And he's got a concave lead here as well. He's got better tech in the army. So now he's going to try to find his way on in. But Queens, they're transfusing, doing well. Biles dropped on top of the Queens, and Jim getting backed up into a corner just a little bit. But every time he does that, he falls back. He regroups. Here comes another army from the Estral Zerg and these upgrades. We're just starting to see him trade better over time. Those Biles, though, oh my goodness, Titan. 2 Queens die in the blink of an eye. And now here comes the sledgehammer of Zerg once again finding its way in. And at this point, it's going to be damn hard for Eggs to stop. We talked about Egg having the lead, but this time, it's going to be hard here. Titan, I think we're going to game 3.
Yeah, I mean, JimRising, he's pulling ahead in the supply. The reinforcements are trying their hardest, but the creep that Egg spread specifically to attack, it's working against him. It gives JimRising a much faster path straight into his base. The drones are going down, and the army is still alive to fight as the Ravagers, well, they are absolutely ravaging that roach count, and it looks like, as you said, this should be a game 3. Eggs, he's going to try hard to hold on, but at this point, we are reaching the tipping point where there is no coming back for Eggs.
Yeah, more stuff beats less stuff. That's true. Most importantly, upgrades. They're good units here. Jim, he ties it up. He shows that that is so good. The surround's incredible. And yeah, hey, you know, Titan, you got your wish. Finally, I don't know how many series DPR today, but finally on the B stream, we have a game 3.
It's been a little bit. It has been, what, 7 series? We finally get one on the 8th. Game 3. Which is obviously, so on the 7th series, we get a game 3, which is exciting because that means that, you know, it all comes down to this. These players, they're playing for their lives. They're playing for game 3. There is no more takebacks. There is no more redos. This means that if you have a build order loss, that is it. That is your chances of advancing gone. And so we might see this game be a lot more thought out than the others.
Yeah, but it's also Curious Minds. I hear what you're saying. I understand it. But it is Curious Minds at the end of the day. So I'd love to buy what you're selling. I would really love to, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's I was saying all that, and then I saw the map, and I was like, ooh, should I stop talking?
So now the question is it 13-12? Is it a Scarlet or a no regret build? Is it 2-base roach timing? I mean, look, there's a chance this is 3-base play. They could take a page from the Korean or from the Europeans. I mean, I don't think it's likely, but it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy part about Curious Minds is that it changes the average match length changes so much depending on the actual matchup. Zerg versus Zerg, I would guarantee it's under 10 minutes. Terran versus Zerg, it is over 20 minutes. There's this is 2 opposite ends of the spectrum just because of the way that it's laid out and with how kind of the open space that is available on this map kind of plays into the dynamics. But it's an interesting map in Zerg versus Zerg. It ends up being, though, it is that knife fight in a phone booth. It is, can you micro better than your opponent? Because if not, they will absolutely stomp you.
That is true. You talk about the dynamics. What are the harmonics of the map?
Well, I would say that this map is probably tuned to I would say C# sus9. But usually this adds on, you know, like a nice, you have a nice C#, and then this adds on a D, and you're just like, ooh, that doesn't fit. Why is that there?
Oh man, I make a joke and then you actually know things about what I'm saying, and I'm like, oh, smile and nod, Bayo. Like, pretend you know what he's saying, so you don't look like it's too late. I already look like an idiot. Because that's just product of being here. But thank you, Titan, for really exposing the gaps in my knowledge instead of just saying, I don't know, but it's a joke. It's fine.
Listen, I took a music class once, so I gotta.
I listen to music and I enjoy it. Yeah, there we go. That works.
Yeah. I like the boom boom tunes. Those are very nice.
Exactly. Well, enough of this nonsense. We have game 3. It's Curious Minds. In the bottom right now, in the red, he is the favorite, but I mean, who knows what happens now for Astral Esports? It's JimRising.
And ladies and gentlemen, in the top left, trying to make the upset come true. I mean, and this is even bigger than the qualifiers. This is it for this man from Super Team, looking to keep his run going. It's eGGz.
How do you like your eggs, Titan?
You know, I can go for a good over easy.
Well, hopefully Jim doesn't find eggs overly easy, because that'd be a really quick series.
Yeah, we're hoping for a scramble, you know, a scrap. I think in this game, but both players are starting off with the hatch first, so nothing crazy. There's no pool first, so we got those in the last 2 games. They got out their aggressiveness. They're like, okay, let's reel it back in a little bit.
I think this is the first standard build in a ZVZ that we've seen in 2 series now. Because eGGz was doing, or no, Eric was doing his patented 15 double gas cancel shenanigans. Which, again, it's not super aggressive, as we saw that, but it is different. And now, finally, in 5 games, we have won 16, 18, 17. Use your standard ZVZ opener. Which... I mean, it doesn't mean anything. We could see Lings flood at 18 to 21 drones and say, hey, you know, it's fine. But at least I have this game is something that I somewhat pretend to understand now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you get your ZVZs. I'll get the TVT that happens later. But the interesting part is JimRising here does have that gas, so he will be getting a much earlier speed than eGGz, who is going for that gasless opener. And I'm going to be interested to see if that ends up actually meaning anything, because I feel like this could very much be a case where JimRising, you know, has this early gas, but it doesn't really do much with it. And that can sometimes be the worst case, because that means that eGGz is going to have access to a lot more minerals than you.
That he will, but on the flip side, your tech is going to be a little bit faster. It means you can maybe cancel a third base, and certainly third base comes slower, but look at that. Little lings they go in, they get a drone. And they should not get more. They're very low, and Queens, they're going to be able to pop them down, but it's a good scout. It sees that there is still 3 out of 3 on gas. It sees that, okay, look, there's no speed just yet, because, again, Jim is getting all this gas. Okay, so we're going to see we're going to see exactly what Eric did to eGGz in that previous series, where you mine a lot of gas, but you don't really do much with it because you're saving it for Ravagers.
Yeah. And that might have been the idea that JimRising was going for in game 1, when we saw him forego that speed and then just didn't have time to get up the Roach Warren. But now that there has been time given, now this isn't a super aggressive match, he does have the ability to just forego that speed, get the gas, and he's going to be able to find a pretty big Roach Ravager swell that's, I mean, I imagine he's going to look to try and cancel or kill off that third base that should be coming down from eGGz fairly shortly.
Or we're seeing something even a little different, because this looks like it's instead going to be +1 speed roaches. Although, yeah, okay, only 2 gas on the way. So looks like this is going to be more like a +1 speed roach timing. And that is rather anachronistic, actually. Not something you see all that often. And eGGz, well, he says, yeah, speed sounds like fun. Let me build a couple more lings, get some map control here, get a third base, certainly. But, ooh, Jim finds his way in. It's a scout, and ZVZ, any mirror, but ZVZ in particular, tech paths can swing so quickly that you really, getting lings in every minute or so is such a difference maker in this game. So he's going to see the lings as they pop out. He sees that Lair is just now getting started. That is wonderful news for him as he tries to figure out where exactly he stands in this game.
Yeah, Roaches are in production. He does the Queens at the wall. And I don't think there's really much chance that eGGz finds much of success with these Zerglings. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you even go up the ramp. You're just going to lose units for really no reason. And there it is, the Glial Reconstitution, the Roach Speed. They're going to get Zoomy on creep. And it means that JimRising is going to be looking for that 2-base timing attack. And once again, eGGz, he's getting a third base, but this time As opposed to that last series where we saw him get caught out without roaches, he already has his +1 on the way. He already has roach production started before that third base is even finished.
The interesting thing here, though, is it looks like eGGz wants to go mutas behind this. He's already on 4 gas. So that if he does decide to do that, we do see that Spire get dropped down when Laird finishes, but actually okay for now. No, it's just going to be roach speed. Again, if he does drop that Spire, that would be a timing that Jim can look to punish. But for right now, it's just going to be eGGz, who has a quicker third base. His upgrades are going to be pretty similarly timed, all things considered. And the only question is whether Jim will be able to leverage, again, not spending 300 minerals on that to run across the map. So here come the roaches right now. Speed will be done eventually, +2 on the way. But upgrades, they're equal. Jim's actually down in army supply a little bit. Lings, they're going to be able to deny the third base, I think. Don't think it even got anywhere near anything. What are the Lings doing in the natural? Okay, they're not going to get much. There's still a wall. But now Jim running onto the other side of the map here, looking to make the difference, make this game end. Make sure eGGz get scrambled, but he's going to get on top of these roaches right now. Lings on the backside actually distracting a couple roaches in the ball. eGGz, of course, he has defender's advantage. He has the extra production. He has the upgrade, the upgraded quality, actually, and Jim will be forced back. Now, eGGz cannot chase this, but for now, Jim is forced back, and all eGGz has to do is buy time.
Yeah, he just needs that speed to finish, and then it's going to be equal footing, and he's going to have more roaches available as well. And JimRising, you're going for this push. This was your play, but look at this. Roach backstab into the natural, going to try and distract his opponent, but he can't push the front. They're just too much available for eGGz.
We talk about defender's advantage as being such this powerful thing. You have the extra hatch. Well, if you don't have queens, and all 3 queens in the man of the natural have been assassinated, you don't have those, your production is going to be hurting in about a minute, but a minute is not right now. So eGGz, sensing hope, sensing opportunity, sensing the time to knock Jim back into the Shadow Realm, to take advantage, to do the thing he did in the qualifiers. Well, he's going to knock the Roach Warren down to start. Production be damned, doesn't matter anymore if you lose the Roach Warren. So Jim has to remake that one, but he's still getting value here. 4 workers have died, another queen. Oh, it looks like it will survive. Yeah, another queen will survive. But Jim just barely, he doesn't even have his third base up yet.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. Right now, eGGz, his third survives. He has that extra production. Even though he's on less workers, he's going to have more injects available if he gets a queen down here. But even without that, you have that larva production. That means he's continuing to produce roaches. And right now, it's 37-22. Even with +2 missile attacks coming through, that's such a massive roach advantage for eGGz.
eGGz is all in here. He's not rebuilding his queens, not building drones. He says, yes, this is what I want. This is what I need. Jim, you're a league streamer now. We don't care about you anymore. Get the hell out of my game. There are just not enough roaches. It's a 20 supply lead. And yeah, Jim has a +2 upgrade advantage, but there is just so much here. This +1 carapace will probably never complete. And notice what eGGz is doing. And what Jim is trying to do, too. He's trying to take the fight on the small side, not get fully surrounded. So he kind of struggles to find his way up that ramp for right now. But now he's got enough. So there we go. +1 carapace denied. eGGz will eventually have that +2. Oh, he's going to take a fight. He's got found the army here. Only 50% of it. eGGz now going in. There's no wall here anymore. Nothing to stop the roaches from finding their way on the high ground. Drones getting it pulled. eGGz, he's got to deal with the roaches on the backside, but he has the high ground here. And man, if he taught us anything, the high ground says everything. Jim, his life is on the line. 21 workers have died. Titan, is there anything that Jim can do anymore?
I mean, right now he's microing his heart out. He has the +2, mind you, so he does trade better in these roach versus roach fights, and now has found eGGz just a little bit split out. He needs to try and take the fight now, but it just isn't gonna be enough, and eGGz is gonna find the